My talk is titled Life in Space Communities. Can Ecocentrism Help? In fact, I've changed my title a bit, which was Life in Space Colonies. Can Ecocentrism Help? I've changed the word colonies because it has a kind of unpleasant association or connotation in human history. And whereas communities, I thought, would sound much closer and much more ecological. Uh, to go into the what I wanted to say is that we know that the Bladerunner year was upon us in 2019, and of course, as shown in the movie, we still don't have any off-Earth communities or any replicants bioengineered to serve for us. But then, it is highly possible that we would have such communities in the near future. And of course, the assistance of AI will be there, but may not be in the form of replicants. Uh, and that could happen very well by the next Blade Runner year of 2049. And such communities in space could inhabit, say, the moon or the Mars, or even could be confined to space stations in orbit around the Earth. So, whatever that case may be, whatever the nature of the colonies, nature of the communities may be, our space pioneers would have their share of prospects and problems. And of course, a lot of very highly imaginative and meticulous thinking uh, involving a lot of scientific and other data have already gone into the possible design and components of these human settlements of the future. But still, there are many challenges of establishing these space communities. And the NASA has identified several hazards of space travel and colonization or settlement. And one of them is closed environment that exerts stress on human mind and also on the body, besides the other well-known effects like radiation, etc., etc. And one of the projects, the Mars 500 project, also revealed signs of depression and cognitive impairment among its subjects. So, some scientists have also advocated that instead of, uh, human settlements on, say, Moon or Mars, we could have space biospheres with artificial gravity, and these can be put in low Earth orbits. So anyway, whether it's on some former ground or in orbit, mental health looks like an important issue that needs to be addressed with a lot of seriousness. And if we have better awareness about the psychosocial issues, then obviously our long-term space missions could be much more successful. Uh, and homesickness has been found by many researchers to be an important factor. And homesickness, I would like to define here according to Fisher. Uh, I quote, strong obsessive ruminative activity centered on home, unquote. So here, home could also mean the earth. And isolation from family and friends has been identified as a very important stressor, and obviously there are many coping mechanisms which have been advocated, and leisure activities have been found to be one. Now, some studies have shown that there is a characteristic of absorption which involves getting engrossed in a particular activity which a person likes, and that can help forget other issues. Now that could be very helpful in resolving many psychological problems. And looking at the earth from space was found to be such an activity that could reduce stress in astronauts. And also, if people could focus on the favorable conditions of the isolated environments, it was likely to reduce the feeling of homesickness. And also, in one of the compilations, some studies were carried out which showed that taking Earth photographs had an effect of salutogenesis, that is, increased well-being on the astronauts. And Earth and its many landmarks, familiar landmarks, could exert a positive influence on the mind of space travelers or space communities. And therefore, some activities could be developed, some substitute activities whenever, I mean, when it was not possible perhaps to keep on taking, a peek at the Earth. And there was this Space Shuttle Earth Observation Project where crews were made to, take photographs, and the effects and the uh, effect that it had on the crew's mind. These were all analyzed. And so the question here is that it seems that natural systems are being given a lot of importance in maintaining the psychological health of space travelers, and also in the space communities when they come up in future. And therefore, the question is that such space communities, what I have a question is that, can they be maintained as monospecific anthropospheres, or should they be like somewhat like biospheres, where you have other forms of life also? But of course, taking animal pets and companions could have a lot of issues, a lot of problems, ethical as well as other problems. And therefore, what I was trying to say in this paper is that whether you could have plants as the companions of the space communities. I mean, not only to look at plants for their use value as food or other uses, but also to look at their intrinsic value, to look at them as companions. So whether that would be a feasible thing to do. Because plants ultimately they represent the earth, and it's a kind of comforting, it's a kind of salutogenic effects that it has on people's minds. And looking at plants could remind the space travelers about their familiar park or their garden, favorite garden, and could have a very positive effect on their minds. And also, interacting with plants could prove to be an activity which had the quality of absorption, which could be really very, very helpful. The question is, would it be possible to interact with plants? Can we can interact with animal pets? Can we interact with plants? And for that, I think our ecocentric traditions could help us in striking a dialogue with the plants. And for that, perhaps the space communities, people before they embark on the journey, could be subjected to some kind of orientation, some kind of different experiences, and so that they could identify with the plants and could think of these as their companions, as their partners. Okay. Now, this may sound a bit kind of utopian, but then our poets and philosophers across cultures have shown us that it is possible to connect with plants and nature as a whole and become a participant in nature. And if we go through the world literature, poets like Walt Whitman, Emerson, Thoreau, say in US, and several others in the West, and even many oriental poets like Rabindranath Tagore of India, they have looked at the soul of plants, and they have tried to converse with plants or tried to have a kind of companionship with plants. So that could be one of the possibilities where even small plants could be easily maintained in hydroponics or in tubs, and then people could really derive some solace and support from there. And as an epilogue of my presentation, I would like to present two poems from two different cultures, two different poets, Walt Whitman from USA and Rabindranath Tagore the Nobel laureate poet from India. And the first one is from Whitman. It says, "We too, how long we were fooled." And he says, "We are nature. Long have we been absent, but now we return. We become plants, trunks, foliage, roots, bark. We are bedded in the ground. We are rocks. We are oaks. We grow in the openings side by side." Now, we could interpret this poem as a kind of return to nature, although many other interpretations are available. And then I also quote a few lines from a poem by Rabindranath Tagore, the Nobel laureate poet from India. And he says, "My feet on tender grass, in my ramblings through the woods, smitten by the aroma of flowers, my mind is stirred up high. Gifts of joy are spread all around, so in wonder my songs come alive. I have lent my ears, opened my eyes, poured my heart out on the bosom of the earth. In the familiar I have sought the unknown, so in wonder my songs come alive." Well, I just wanted to show in this presentation that identifying with plants and nature could be one of the measures for ensuring better psychological health in the space communities. And such a measure is likely to lend an ecocentric touch to our predominantly anthropocentric approach to space exploration, which in turn could be a welcome paradigm shift for the future of humankind, both in the earth and beyond it as well. So I thank you